And you'd go up there, and you had two guys that would sneak off to the bathroom. So you couldn't even go to the bathroom, man. It happened all the time. You couldn't even go to the bathroom because they'd be in there.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hello everybody. I want to talk about fake people in prison today. As you can see by the title. You know, I've never been fake with anybody. I'll talk about being in prison and everything, but before prison, I was nothing but a farm boy. You know, had a good family and everything, good neighborhood, nice town, never involved in anything bad, you know. But when I got to prison, I got to learning about different people from different backgrounds, you know, and that's one thing I can say good about my experience in prison is that I got to see different people. I learned about their backgrounds, where they came from, all this. But there was also people, you had people came in that didn't have nothing and never did have nothing when they was in prison. They didn't even try to get a hustle. But they had these, they would tell everybody all the money and stuff they had on the streets and they didn't have a dime. Would say, well, where's all that money now? Oh, they got it locked up, you know, I can't get to it. Something like that, you know. And then they usually would try to bum from you. Hey man, give me a bag of coffee, man, and when I'm able to get my money, man, I got you back. I ain't working, man. But, and you had guys that come in, try to act like they's tough. They thought by putting on a tough act, it would keep people off of them. It did the exact opposite most of the time. Don't get it wrong. There were some people who came in that were tough and they knew they was tough. But I'm talking about fake people. Now one of the things, you know, I believe in God. I have a faith in God. And there was several people in prison that did. I'm not trying to put down Christians or anything. What I'm saying is there were some people who pretended. And they pretended for a number of reasons. One reason, they thought by carrying around the Bible in public, everywhere they went, they had a Bible in their hand. He's either going to keep people from hurting them or doing something to them, or it was going to, they thought it would look good on the parole. Parole board can see right through that, just like everybody else can. But most of the real ones that was real Christians did not go to the chapel or the church or wherever they was holding services at. They read in their cell. I had several cellies like that. I did that. I did go to the services, church services a few times, but I want to tell you, man, it's weird up there. You know, for one thing, there's a lot of chumbles up there. And I'm just being real with you. Another thing, like in Farmington, they had an actual chapel. It looked like a church, a little small church. And you'd go up there, and you had two guys that would sneak off to the bathroom. So you couldn't even go to the bathroom, man. It happened all the time. You couldn't even go to the bathroom because they'd be in there. South Central Correctional Center, they really couldn't do that. They did at first, but they built the bathroom next to where the weights were at. And it's got this kind of glass around it, plexiglass around it, so you can see in. So they really couldn't get nothing off like that there. you know. But that was that, and the chomos is a couple of reasons why people did not, who actually had a faith in God, did not go to the services. And some of, you know, like in South Central Correctional Center, they had instruments that you could play and stuff. And you could tell people, this is another way you could tell they was fake. They had certain people that was in this that played the instruments. Some of them couldn't even play. They just said they could, and then they couldn't. But when the Mennonites came in, they had Mennonite service. When the Mennonites came in, they didn't like it because the Mennonites did not like anything that had to use electronic. They did not want the electric guitar being played. They did not anything that. They did not want that amplifiers on or none of that. So it really made them mad. And what's that? So it really made them mad, you know. And so that could tell. That was another way you could tell it was not real. One of the things that really disappointed me was when people start out real in prison and become fake. They're doing something that's not in their character, and they're doing it only for parole. Let's call this guy John. It's not his real name, but I really don't want to. Anyway, at the walls, I knew him at the walls and in other prisons, and he was a stand-up person. He took out snitches, chomos. I mean, he did not, like, literally, he just beat them up, you know. But in Farmington, he started changing. It was small changes at first. He started running errands for the caseworker. And if the caseworker told him to jump, and he would say, how high? Some of us talked to him about it, and he said, well, my dad knew his dad, and this and that. And no. That doesn't mean you have to jump every time he says so. You know? So he gets, him and my partner Kevin get transferred to Bowling Green. A couple years later, I get put in a hole for a number 3. That's dangerous contraband. Then I get sent to Potosi for a couple years, and then I get sent to Bowling Green. I get put in that same housing unit as Kevin, and we ended up being cellies. You know, it didn't take us too long to become cellies. But he wasn't getting along with his cellie, and he was about to beat his crap out of him. But anyway, I asked him, I said, who's the barber? And he said, John. I said, well, I'm going to go get my hair cut. And I said, is he still running around doing errands for caseworkers and stuff and staff members and stuff? He goes, oh, Harvey, it's gotten worse. He's snitching. I found that hard to believe, since he had beat up snitches in the past. He beat up chomos and all this. And I said, are you, really? He goes, Harvey, you know I wouldn't lie to you, man. He goes, I was his best man at his wedding. So I went up there to the barber shop one day. He cut my hair, and we didn't talk a whole lot. I mean, this little small talk, how you doing, and all this and that, you know. And I didn't really feel like having small talk with him. I wanted to have a conversation with him. And that wasn't the place to do it. And I told him, I said, man, I got to talk to you after sometime or another. He goes, well, I get off about 30 minutes or so, you know. We'll have 30 minutes before the yard, after that, before the yard closes. Is that enough time? I said, yeah. So I walk around on the yard, waiting for him to get off of work, and he comes out there and we start walking laps. All three of us were friends at one time. He goes, as far as I'm concerned, we're still friends. I said, well, that's yet to be determined. And, but I wasn't laughing then, you know. I was kind of upset. And he said, what's on your mind? And I said, well, is you're snitching. Now I'm expecting either him to get mad and tell me to go in and get Kevin, tell Kevin to come out, and there'll be a problem or something between them two, or he just flat out deny it and say Kevin's full of it. I was expecting pretty much anything except what he said to me. He said, Harvey, I got a life sentence, you got a life sentence. If we're going to get out of prison, we got to get the program with the program and work with the man. I was floored. I literally, I just stopped. I said, say that again. And he said, if you want to get out of prison, have a chance of getting out of prison, you have to work with the man. If that means telling on people, you know, getting their nose brown, whatever, that's what you got to do. All right, everybody. Just stopped recording for some reason. Had to redo it. Anyway, I told him I was done messing with him. And he says, we're going to bang or what? I said, no, I'm just done messing with you. And he said, all right, so we went our own ways. But I want to tell you, I had several pro hearings after that before I got a date. But so did he. He didn't get out with his next one, so that all that he was doing did not help him one bit. And so I just want to tell you about, most people in prison are pretty real about what they do, you know. But there's a lot of them that are also fake, but I believe there's more fake people out here than there are in prison. You know, just be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not just to impress somebody or this or that, you know. Anyway, that's all I got for you. See you next time.